Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Common Ground on the Hill Traditions Week Bluegrass and Old Time Concert Wednesday. It is Wednesday, and we've got some great music lined up for you tonight, some wonderful things to see and hear. And we are going to be honoring one of the great Americana musicians who has been with us 3 times before. We haven't seen him in a while, but in order to get us started, I'd like you to look at this video and listen closely.
The biggest gift that I ever got from my dad as a musician was not about flash, it was not about speed or virtuosity, it's about tone. He would say, now Bill, just remember, play every note as if it's the last note you're ever going to play. And the idea being that, you should put meaning and feeling into every note you do. And tone ultimately is the definition of any master musician. It's not about how fast you can play, but how you're able to channel your own human experience through the instrument of your choosing. His touch on the banjo is very different from other banjo players. It's almost orchestral in a way. I think my dad thinks about the banjo as a little orchestra.
Plockton Air was a tune that came to me when we visited Plockton, a little village in Scotland. It's an old-fashioned place. It's my kind of place. I'm kind of out of date and out of style, and I like Plockton. And a friend of ours, a Scottish musician, he said, "Yes, the Scots, when it comes to fiddle music, the sadder the better." So I thought I'd write a tune to remember Plockton by. I decided I wanted to learn the fiddle when I was just a child. My sister played the violin. I was the little hillbilly in the family. And I would sneak her fiddle out to the barn in chicken coop and scratch around on her fiddle, and she'd get upset and tell on me. I'd get in trouble. But when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, I was trying to figure that thing out. It was a complicated piece of business, but I stayed after it and finally learned to play a little bit on one.
He composes through the fiddle and the banjo. Those are his instruments. But at the end of the day, he's a composer, and he writes music that taps into just a wide spread of musical and historical contexts. He's fascinated by parlor music and lullabies and the gentler side of the banjo, if you will.
The parlor banjo was very popular back in the late 1800s on up to the turn of the century. A lot of ladies played the banjo. It was a proper instrument, and they played beautiful music on the banjos, classical music quite often. My grandmother played the banjo, and she could play lullabies and beautiful things on the banjo. So when I was a child, I'd say, "Granny, get your banjo." And it's time for me to go to bed. I wanted a banjo tune. I didn't want a bedtime story. So she'd play the banjo for me. She was a wonderful person. She liked to get in a canoe and paddle up the Tennessee River with me in it when I was a little tot, and we just had a grand time. She was a great grandmother.
Well, that person that you were listening to is none other than Tony Ellis. I want to tell you how I came to know about Tony. I played bluegrass for a long time, but I didn't know enough about my true roots history of bluegrass music to know who Tony was. I spent a lot of time in my office, way too much time, so that I've lose the calluses on my fingers doing this common ground work. And I listened to music. And what I found was I was listening to Tony Ellis's music over and over and over again. There was something about it that struck me very deeply. It was sublime. The tone was perfect. And I could feel and hear the artist coming through. And I didn't know anything about Tony, didn't know what he looked like, didn't know where he lived, whatever, but I kept playing these CDs and falling in love with that music. And I finally reached out, and Tony tells me it was probably Zan McLeod who told me how to get in touch. And I got in touch with Tony and invited him to Common Ground on the Hill. And he came to be with us 3 separate seasons and really left his mark with us. And what I noticed about Tony was that he was all ears. He was all about finding out what was going on around him. Many of us who get locked into our particular idioms just have a straight line focus on that. We don't let other things in. But Tony was letting everything in. He was letting the children around him in, and his music was just amazing. So I'd like for you to see Tony now. Can we bring Tony? There he is, Tony, all the way from Ohio. Where in Ohio are you, Tony?
Circleville. It's just south of Columbus in the central part of the state.
Mm-hmm. So Ohio has a lot of great traditional music, a lot of bluegrass that came up the highway out of Kentucky and Tennessee, right?
Yes, it did. You mentioned Tom Ewing earlier. Tom's a great journalist and a guitarist, worked with Monroe for many years. And Tom and I used to work together.
Yeah. And I watched a video of you, and you explained sort of what happened when you came to Ohio. And I think this is really interesting for those of us who try to satisfy our muse. You had a bunch of people that you played with for a long time in Tennessee, people you were comfortable with. And when you moved to Ohio, you left those people behind and you were pretty much alone. And I remember you saying that it was you, the kitchen, the coffee pot, and the banjo. And it was at that point that you started composing these pieces that made their way into our hearts and minds and ears. What folks should know about Tony is that I don't know how could I compare this? If you play banjo with Bill Monroe, you have been tapped to the ride of your life and the scary house of mirrors of your life, because Bill Monroe was the master of the music. There were many great players, but Bill Monroe was, as they say, the father. And Tony, as a young man, made the audition and became a bluegrass boy. Is called a bluegrass boy, and rode the road for 3 years. Tony, is that right?
Oh, about 2.5.
2.5. That was enough, right?
Yes, it was.
But Tony recorded over 25 cuts with Bill Monroe in the golden era. And back in those days, if you could keep up with Bill Monroe, you were something else. And there were a lot of musicians out there wanting that seat that Tony held. A lot of people that would love to have played with Bill Monroe, but Bill obviously heard something in Tony's music. And there we have it. So I'd like to move Rex now to the screen about the Robert Chambers Award for Excellence in the Traditional Arts. When I came to McDaniel College, back to my alma mater, with the idea of Common Ground, I pitched it to the college president, Bob Chambers. And Bob really understood what I was getting at. He understood the power of the traditional arts. So we've presented the Robert H. Chambers Award for Excellence in the Traditional Arts every year since 2000. The award is named in honor of Robert H. Chambers, who as president of Western Maryland College, now McDaniel College, and as a founding director of Common Ground on the Hill, understood the innate power and potential of the traditional arts to help foster community and change. The award is presented every year at the Roots Music and Arts Festival. This year, we aren't having that festival, so we're doing it tonight. And Bob Chambers' unwavering support was essential in the early development of Common Ground on the Hill. And we remember him gratefully in the naming of this annual award. You could roll down a little bit there, Rex. Other people who have received this award are Doc Watson, Pete Seeger, Odetta. It's a long list of luminaries, people who really believed in the traditional arts and lived that life. Let me tell you a little more about Tony. He's often described as the backwoods Bach. On the National Masters of the Banjo Tour produced by the National Council for the Traditional Arts, Tony was introduced as, quote, a banjo and fiddle player of astounding skill and innovation, a legend among people who really know bluegrass and old-time music. His skills as a composer match his instrumental abilities, and he has created numerous stunningly beautiful solo pieces for the banjo. Rarely does a musician so skilled and steeped in tradition have the vision to take the music to new realms within the sonic boundaries of an idiom. Early in his career, Tony performed on tour with the father of bluegrass, Bill Monroe, recording some 25 classic bluegrass cuts. All of his recordings have received critical acclaim, and he has received 11 awards from ASCAP. Tony was nominated for the National Heritage Fellowship Award, the highest honor America pays to her traditional artists. In 2003, he became the first recipient of the Ohio Heritage Fellowship Award for the Performing Arts. He graced our stage 3 times, as I've said, and we are proud to be able to give Tony this award, this annual award, the Robert H. Chambers Award for Excellence in the Traditional Arts. The award is an award in and of itself, but we have a physical award to present to you, Tony. Of course, we can't hand it to you at the moment, but let's take a look at it, see what we have here. This is a Native American woodland flute made by Robin Tillery of Georgia. He has taught with us for any number of years, and most of the awards, the Chambers Awards, have been these flutes made by Robin. This is made from poplar, and it is going to arrive at your home, and we hope that you'll give it some tunes. In order to help move you in that way and to dedicate this flute and consecrate it, we'd like to have our friend Sakim play a tune for you all the way from Florida. And Sakim, we're not going to be able to bring your picture up, but we will hear your music and your words.
So, I will do my best. I'm having some difficulty, but I got to tell you, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Walt, close your ears up. I was going to pull a fast one on Walt and just break out my banjo instead. But then someone told me that as soon as you heard me play one note, you'd kick your banjo into the next county and never play another note. So I'll have to play the flute instead. The flute has a very long tradition. In the native tradition, we say that the voice of Creator is silence. The voice of humans is sound. But the flute is silence made solid. And to play the native flute is a blessing to you and those who hear it. It's very simple, easy to play, and we might even be able to send you a little instruction page. And I hope that my mouth sort of holds up here. Very sweet sounding, and after Walt asked me to play, I spent a little bit of time and I thought, well, I better not play a standard stuff. So I sat down this afternoon with a very good friend of mine who's in her last days, and I said, I want to do something special. And I told her what I knew about you. She said, well, you have to write a tune and call it Buckeye. So that little tune is called Buckeye. And when it's printed up, it will say dedicated to Tony Ellis. So I'm glad you're going to get a flute. That makes you a very special person. Thank you for letting me be there.
Thank you, Sakim. Sakim is Apalachicola Creek, and as I say, he has been with us a number of years, and he is a tribal leader. So there you have it with the flute, Tony. You're going to have to get some tone out of that flute. I'm sure you will.
I'll try.
Tony, it's so wonderful to have you with us, and we're saying to everyone who was in our catalog this year, we hope that we're virtual. We're not virtual next year. We might be partly virtual, but we want to have everyone who put shoulder to the wheel and helping to make this happen. We want to have people back here on the campus. We will see what happens with that. But meanwhile, we'll make our music virtual. I wanted to ask you sort of what you're into lately in terms of music. What have you been doing?
I have a shop where I work on violins or fiddles, and I enjoy that very much. I have a collection of fiddles, and that occupies most of my time. I don't get out and play much anymore. At my age, I'm wearing out and try to behave myself. So I'm reminded of what Mark Twain said. He said, "The gentleman is a man who knows how to play the banjo but refrains from doing so." I think he probably was right about that.
Well, I think we would all want you to play whenever you feel like it.
Every day.
Maybe when this COVID thing is over, I'll take a drive out to Ohio and see you, and then drop in on Bob Lucas and see if we can make some music.
That would be great.
One of the wonderful things about homegrown music is we heard Tony talk about his mother, grandmother, who played the banjo. Bill Monroe's mother played the fiddle. It's family business. And Tony's son, Bill, is a great musician. He even has his PhD in music. And you'll hear him next week, I believe, in some more blues music. But we thought it would be fitting to end this with Bill playing one of Tony's compositions in honor of his dad. We thank the Ellises for being here and for making our world a better place with your music. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Paul.
Hang on, there'll be some good music tonight. Well, that boy done you real proud, Tony.
Yes, he does.
He does. Tony told me that there are only two people who can play guitar for him properly. First one is Bill. I think Sam McLeod was the other one you mentioned.
That's correct.
Yeah. So we thank you so much for being here, and I'm sorry you had to put your suit on, but you know, hopefully that, you know, you'll wake up in the morning and just figure it was a bad dream.
Well, Walt, I'd like to say very quickly, there are three festivals that are my favorites in my entire life. One is the Fraley Fiddle Festival in Kentucky. Then, of course, the National Folk Festival, which is kind of a gypsy festival. It travels all over the country. But the top program in this country, or in the world that I've been involved in, is Common Ground on the Hill.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
That means the world to us, Tony. And it's the result of so many people's work. There are so many people, and I've got to give a shout out to Maria and Matt, who have made these 3 weeks work for us, and a number of others. Of course, Linda in the art department, Pam Zappardino herding all these teachers, and the people who come to listen and be part of this. Thank you so much. And I'm going to remind our funders that you said that. Thank you so much. That means so much.
Thank you.
Well, I think we'll proceed with our lineup here. Randy Barrett. Randy Barrett, the banjoist, the fiddle repairer. You're sounding a lot like Tony Ellis now.
I'm trying to grow up and be Tony.
Yeah. Randy Barrett is a great musician who comes originally from, I believe, Connecticut.
Well, actually, originally DC, a little north. Yeah, I'm a little south of where you're.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought you grew up in Connecticut, but I got that wrong. So DC, so he's a DC guy,
Yep.
and and a fine musician of all bluegrass instruments, and the past president of the DCBU, the DC Bluegrass Union.
That's right.
Which is sort of like herding cats as well.
That's true.
But what Randy does foremost and best is play music, and we're really happy to have him with us this week teaching banjo. And let me say before I forget that all of our instructors and performers tonight have, as they say in the bluegrass world, product, and that means CDs and downloads and books. So all of you out there listening, we urge you to go to their websites and buy something tonight and tomorrow. And if you can't figure it out from their website, come to the Common Ground website and we'll help you out. It's really important to support these musicians now with all of this COVID thing happening. You know, there is no place to play. So help folks out. So I'm glad I got that commercial in before you played, Randy. I know you have a brand new CD, which is wonderful.
Got a brand new CD.
There it is.
Rattle and Roar. There it is.
There it is. So make welcome Randy Barrett. What do you got on tap for us, Randy?
Well, I'm going to do a tune that I put on my new record, and it's an old railroad work song. You may have heard it, but I've added a few lyrics to it because the song is so short traditionally. So here we go. It's called Walking Boss. Walking boss, you're the boss, but I don't belong to you. I belong, yes I belong, and I can get along with that steel driving crew. I asked the boss man for a job. I said I want a job. He said, son, what can you do? Well, I can line track, I can line up track, and I can pull a jack. I can pick and shovel too. All that week, I worked 6 days, 6 long days, and I sweat and toil too. Come payday, the boss man's gone, going back home. I got no green for the balance due. It stayed the same the whole next week. He was hide and seek. I could never pin him down. Steel driving crew, yeah, they knew they were short pay too. And their smile slipped to a frown. Walking boss, yes, you're the boss, but we don't belong to you. You got a grave, a brand new grave, beneath the railroad grave. We can pick a trouble too. You got a grave, a brand new grave, it's the one we made. We can pick a trouble too. There you go. Thanks, everybody.
Randy Barrett, that was some mighty fine picking there.
Thank you so much.
You've been playing a long time, haven't you?
I've been playing 40 odd years. Yeah, not as long as Bill, but yeah, we're getting there.
Wow. Well, I also wanted to mention your role with bluegrasscountry.org.
Right. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, that's the Bluegrass Country Foundation that we run the Bluegrass Country radio station. That's at bluegrasscountry.org. You can hear it streaming all over the world, and we've got 24/7 bluegrass there, and that's the former WAMU bluegrass. So we still have all the DJs are there, and we're all still there. So check us out, bluegrasscountry.org.
Yeah, it's a great station, and it is not just bluegrass or old time. There's a lot of old blues. The scholarship of the DJs is really pretty astounding. There's some Zydeco music. It's a really great station.
Americana, we have just a great bunch of DJs. It's all curated by humans. It's not computerized. Humans are picking every song.
Yeah, 24/7, right? It's 24 hours a day. Yeah, so all you have to do is go to bluegrasscountry.org and you live stream. There's no fee.
Yep.
And it's as if WAMU got its soul back.
We kind of did. We're still public radio. We still depend on the kindness of our listeners.
Yeah. So you all check that out. Great. Well, thank you, Randy. And our next performer comes to us.
Hang on. I'm here. I'm here. Hey, I'm sorry about that. I'm back.
That's all right. Well, I think we're good to go. Thank you, Randy. Our next performer comes to us from the Common Ground Board of Directors. Not that that's where he first, that's not his origin, but he's been with Common Ground for a long time. And prior to that, he was a journalist, and he still has his hands in that a bit. He flew on Air Force One in 2 different presidencies with the Bloomberg report, Bloomberg News. And David sort of surfaced to my understanding and recognition. I don't have the time to pay that much attention as to everyone who's here. Sometimes in the summer we have 500 people. But the first thing that when I became aware of him was that he donated all these instruments to our Veterans Initiative. And then our relationship sort of moved from there to eventually David joining the board. And he's been a wonderful presence on our board. What David enjoys more than anything, I do believe, I could be wrong, he can let me know if I'm wrong, is songwriting. And he's won a number of awards, and his journalism has now been turned into the world of bluegrass. So David is here teaching songwriting, and I'm really looking forward to his song. Make welcome David Morris.
And wine drinking.
Oh, and wine drinking, I forgot about that one. Yes, we have a wine class, right?
A year ago, just about a year ago today, on the last night that she was alive. I told Eileen Carson Schatz that I'd never forget her. And so I want to give her a shout out tonight because I'm a man of my word. She was common ground, and we miss her. I miss all of you guys, and maybe next year we can be together. On a brighter note, I want to give a shout out to my songwriting students this week. They're a tremendous group of kids. They're a tremendous group of people, and they're all younger than me, so they're kids. They're doing great work, and I'm learning more from them, I think, than they're learning from me. So, Walt, you probably want to pay them. There's a long list of problems in this country, but one of them that I want to highlight tonight is the disappearing American farmer. This is a song I wrote in Nashville with my friends Keith Dozier and Don Kenny on a farm, and it's the only song I've ever written where a chicken made an appearance on the table that we were writing at outside the house. We had chicken for dinner later, but I don't think it was the same one. This is called Barnwood Red. Poor Farmer Johnson had 300 acres to pass down. Crops he was growing fed folks for miles and miles around. Big money moved in, the bank took his farm back. Now his place is up for sale in 5-acre tracts. United we stand, subdivided we fall. Tilling this land is costing us all. We talk about it on TV, but nobody does anything except carve up the fields for a little bread. Everybody watched as this town bled. Barnwood Red, Barnwood Red. Simple way of living died with that old man last July. Hear the whistle blowing, those trains keep rolling right on by. Never was much to do here, farming's all we had. Now the Johnson place is still for sale, ain't so one track. United we stand, subdivided we fall. Killing this land is costing us all. Talked about it on TV, but nobody did a damn thing except carve up the fields for a little bread. Everybody watched as this town bled. Barnwood Red. Every farmer's daughter, every farmer's son remembers greener pastures in a town that died too young. United we stand, subdivided we fall. Selling this land is costing us all. They talked about it on TV, but nobody did a damn thing except carve up the fields for a little bread. Everybody watched as this town bled. Barnwood Red, Barnwood Red, Barnwood Red.
Thank you, David. The disappearing farms. Disappearing farms. Does anyone know the answer to this question? Why are barns most of the time, why are they painted red? The answer is, so I've been told, it is the cheapest pigment. But that's why. Who wants to spend a lot of money, or who can afford to spend a lot of money on a barn? So that's why they are red. Thank you, David. That really hits home with a lot of us. My people were farmers. My father's people right near here, and those farms are all gone. Well, our next performer comes to us from a band that was here last year that was making huge waves across our nation. Imagine this, a bluegrass band from Buenos Aires, composed of musicians from all over Latin America. Of course, they're not here with us now because of COVID, but they're here teaching with us. 3 of those members. And our first performer instructor is a wonderful banjo player who Bela Fleck told me, this pal is really good. I don't know if I told you that, pal, but that's what Bela said. He said, hey, Pal is a really good banjo player. So make welcome Pal Barrio, and where are you playing from, Pal?
I'm right now in Mexico City at my dad's house.
All right, and you're safe?
Yes, I'm safe.
Good.
For now. And I'm gonna play for you a traditional Argentinian song, a samba, on the banjo. So this is like our thing we do with Che Apalache. We call it Latin grass. And should I just hit it?
Yeah.
De nuevo estoy de vuelta, después de larga ausencia, igual que la calandria que azota el vendaval, y traigo 1000 canciones como leñita seca, recuerdo de fogones que invitan a matear, y traigo 1000 canciones como leñita seca, recuerdo de fogones que invitan a matear, y divisé tu rancho, orillas del camino, a donde los jazmines tienden su altar, al pie del calicanto la luna cuando pasa, tendió mi serenata la cresta del sausal, al pie del calicanto la luna cuando pasa, peinó mi serenata la cresta del sausal. Amor es una estrella con cuerdas de guitarra, una luz que me alumbra en la oscuridad. Acércate a la reja, sos la dueña de mi alma, sos mi luna cautiva que me besa y se va. Acércate a la reja, sos la dueña de mi alma, sos mi luna cautiva que me besa y se va. Escucha que mis grillos están enamorados, que llora mi guitarra, lamentos del sausal, el tintinear de espuelas del río allá en el vado, y una noche serena prendida en mi cantar, el tintinear de espuelas del río allá en el vado, y una noche serena prendida en mi cantar. De nuevo estoy de vuelta, mi tropa está en la huella, arrieros musiqueros me ayudan a llegar. Tuve que hacer un alto por un toro mañero, allá en el Calicanto, a orillas del sausal. Tuve que hacer un alto por un toro mañero, allá en el Calicanto, a orillas del sausal. Tu amor es una estrella con cuerdas de guitarra, una luz que me alumbra en mi oscuridad. Acércate a la reja, sos la dueña de mi alma, sos mi luna cautiva que me besa y se va. Acércate a la reja, sos la dueña de mi alma, sos mi luna cautiva que me besa y se va.
Wow, that was great. That was great. Thank you, Pal. It's wonderful.
Thanks.
I wish we were all here on campus hanging around the fountain playing some music. And I should tell people the band Che Apalache, so it's C-H-E and then A-P-A-L-A-C-H-E. You should Google them and find them and go listen to them online. Listen to their song, The Wall. The Wall. Incredibly powerful song. So we have another Che Appalachian.
Hello.
Martin Bobrick. And I should say, we have this little get-together group that happens once a week now online. And it is a Cocktail Wednesday group, I must say. And Martin has some of the best stories and plays some of the best music. So, and then where are you right now, Martin?
I'm in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Yeah. Great. Well, welcome. Let's hear what you got.
Yeah, I forgot. I didn't go to the cocktail party today. Sorry about that.
Well, you'll probably play much better. As a result, you'll play much better, I'm sure.
Let's hope so. I just wanted to say before I start playing that I think not telling someone that their volume is too low or too high is the Zoom version of not telling someone they have food in their teeth. So please tell me if I'm too loud or too low. And I'm not sure this counts as bluegrass, so I'm just going to put a G-Run in the song. Here it goes. A lonely spot I know where no man will go, where the shadows of all the room. I was riding free on the old SB. I'm in a southern tune. When a man came along, he made me hush my song, kick me off away from there. As she pulled out of sight, I turned to the right, I left and everywhere, but all I could see was a cactus tree and a prairie dog playing there. I was prairie dog feet on the tumblebee. That's his home way out there. Sun make the tall shadows run out across the barren plain. Then I hummed a tune to the rising moon. She gets lonesome way out there. And lost myself in dreams. I dreamed the desert sand was a milk and honey land. Then I awoke with a start. There was a train coming back on a one-way track, gonna take me away from here. Passing by, put her on the fly. I climbed in an open door. Then I looked around to the desert ground, spot I would see no more. That part was weird. As I was riding away, I heard the bell moon say, farewell bound, it sure gets lonesome here.
All right, Martin. Incredible, man. And I didn't know that you yodeled. That's fantastic. Amazing. And the G run. That was a pretty good G run in there. So, and I guess I'll see you next Wednesday for sure, hopefully. Yeah. Hey,
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. I will be there next Wednesday. Thank you.
Great. And, you know, I would say to a lot of folks at Common Ground, start little groups up, get together once a week, throw back a few, play some tunes, you know, beat back the COVID isolation thing. We've been having a great time. I've actually seen more people in the last few months online than I do in my normal life. So I wouldn't trade it, but there we go. Our next performer is also a member of Che Apalache. And his name is Franco Martino. And is Franco here?
Yes. I'm
Good,
here.
great.
Hello.
And Franco, where are you now? Where are you staying?
I am in Buenos Aires. I'm with
Buenos
Sol.
Aires, yeah.
Hello.
There we go. Wow.
She's going to be singing with me.
Right, and who is this?
Sol. She's my girlfriend.
Hello, everyone.
So that's great. So you are what do they call it? Quarantining, but you have a
Yes.
girlfriend, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good
And
thing.
it's a good thing to have a boyfriend. Right.
Yeah.
Well, welcome.
Thank you so much. Well, we're going to do a version of Columbus Stockade Blues. We learned this song from the Brother Brothers. Hope you like it. Way down in Columbus Stockade, wish I was back in Tennessee. Way down in Columbus Stockade, oh, my friends, they have turned their backs on me. Go and leave me if you wish to. Never let it cross your mind. In your heart there was another. Leave me, little darling, I don't mind. Last night, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed I held you in my arms. When I woke, I was mistaken. I was stuck behind these prison bars. Go and leave me if you wish to. Never let it cross your mind. In your heart, there was another. Leave me, little darling, I don't mind. Many nights with you I've rambled. Many nights with you I've spent. Thought I had your heart forever. Now I found you was only land. Go and leave me if you wish to. Never let it cross your mind. In your heart there was another. Leave me, little darling, I don't mind. Leave me, little darling, I don't mind. Leave me, little darling, I don't mind. Thank you.
Yay! Great.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. A nice minor key version.
Yeah.
Columbus Stockade. That's great. Wonderful. It's great to see you all. I hope that we can make things happen again next summer. You know, for the folks out there, I'm not sure how many people understand how difficult since 9/11 it has become for musicians to cross borders and play our music. that was one of the, for me, I know that was one of the great payoffs in my life, was to be able to go to different countries and play music and make friends. And for some reason, somebody's confusing musicians with terrorists. And now I can see that with a hammered dulcimer, that could make you a little bit afraid of someone, but this needs to be straightened out. This needs to be straightened out so that we can be peace emissaries between countries and playing our music back and forth and creating pathways of understanding. So thank you so much to the members of Che Apalache, and we'll look forward to your classes. People are enjoying them, that's for sure. Our next performers come to us from New York State. From New York State, up around Saratoga Springs. And I know these characters pretty well. I was in a band with one of them, and certainly knew the Greengrass Cloggers. And so all the way from New York State. Oh my gosh, look, there they are.
Yeah. Hello, Walter.
Hi, Walt.
Is that your living room?
Actually, it's John's studio. We mostly call it the storage room.
Storage room, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Saratoga County's largest walk-in closet.
It's where you store your past hits.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of them.
Anyway, thanks for having us, Walt.
We're glad to be here.
Yep.
John Kirk and Trish.
Hi.
Hello.
We're going to be watching a little video that Trish and I made this afternoon. We have thunderstorms rolling through our area, so we're kind of afraid that power's going to go out. So we said, well, let's get out and make a little video this morning. And so you're going to hear a ridiculous song that I wrote a couple of years ago about a country singer, country boy who gets a pickup truck, but it's a special kind of pickup truck. It's a self-driving autonomous vehicle, and
robotic.
And of course, as it would have in country music, the truck leaves him too. So that's called My Pickup Let Me Down. And then we're going to do a little medley of Hangman's Reel, the Quebecois version of Hangman's Reel, and then a southern version of of Hangman's Reel. And
John's
Trish is going to do some Appalachian clogging.
Well, John's doing the footwork to the Quebecois part. He was born in Canada. He has a a birth certificate with a moose on it that says he can do that. I am going to do the southern version, and we just miss seeing a lot of people being there. Hi, Rodney. I wish I could come and dance with you, but next year we'll get a chance to do that. And all of you, I hope you're being well and taking care of yourself, and I hope we'll get a chance to see you sometime soon. I hope we can get a lid on this virus and get out and about again and give each other hugs.
And we're honored to be on this lineup tonight. It's wonderful to watch this concert, and congratulations, Tony. It's beautiful to hear your music, and congratulations on a great, well-deserved honor. So on with the show.
Well, I'm just a good old country boy with my girl, my dog, and truck. Well, one day that pickup broke down on me. I tried to change my luck, so I went down to the dealer. I saw it and oh my Lord, well, I bought it right there and then, the world's first self-driving Ford. Well, it was a revelation to sit behind the wheel. I could take a nap, I could drink a beer, I could even eat a meal. Well, I must have got so obnoxious, always being drunk, sometimes rude, that my girl left. She took the dog and my pickup left me too. Well, the pickup let me down, landed up and drove away. Did someone pick up that pickup truck? Did they see it along the way? That anomaly with autonomy has left me high and dry. Yeah, my truck up and left me, and I still don't know why. Well, it could be that it got tired of hearing me sing my country songs, but I can't help it. When I hear Wynette Weber Willie, I just have to sing along. Well, I guess the day
finally came when I had changed my choice to singing Taylor Swift and a Justin Bieber songs at the top of my voice. Well, a pickup let me down, waited up and drove away. Could someone pick up my pickup truck if they see it along the way? That anomaly with autonomy has left me high and dry. Yeah, my truck up and left me, and I still don't know why. I haven't a clue. But one day I woke up behind the wheel. The GPS said we'd arrive. So I got out and stretched my legs. It felt good after the long drive. But then the door slammed shut. It locked itself. The transmission kicked in gear. And as the truck drove off, it honked its horn. I swear it said, "Goodbye, dear." Well, that pickup let me down, waited up and drove away. Could someone pick up my pickup truck if they see it along the way? That anomaly with autonomy has left me high and dry. Yeah, my truck up and left me, and I still don't know why. Well, if I hadn't had my flip phone, I'd still be standing there today. So I called the police and told my tale. They had this to say: a truck by that description had been seen by a couple of hicks headed west down the road with a woman and a dog down Route 66. Well, the pickup let me down, waited up and drove away. Could someone pick up that pickup truck if they see it along the way? That anomaly in autonomy has left me high and dry. Yeah, my truck up left me, and I still don't know. Well, my truck came home for Christmas, makes me want to cry. It's sitting out in the garage now, planning its next drive. Well, my girl's still gone, but I got a new dog. He's out howling at the moon. Yeah, my truck came home for Christmas, and I'm no longer blue. Yeah, that pickup let me down, waited up and drove away. Could someone pick up my pickup truck if they see it along the way? That anomaly with autonomy has left me high and dry. Yeah, my truck came home for Christmas, and I no longer cry. Oh yes, that truck steered me wrong. That truck left me flat. That truck gave me the drive shaft, nothing but taillights. Reel, the reel de l'homme pendu. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, thanks, Common Ground. Thanks, Walt, for having us again. We'll see you again sometime. Have a good night.
Well, that was mighty fine. John Kirk and Trish Miller from up in Saratoga land. That was great. Great to see you all again. I sure do miss playing music with John. We played together for a number of years, made some records, and some of them weren't Police records.
At the video, start the video.
Yeah, the video. So,
thanks. Sorry.
Rex, has Randy Mayer shown up? He may have missed the message.
I have not seen him yet.
Okay. All right. Well, we are going to move on to one of my favorite folks here at Common Ground on the Hill. Pun Plamundan is a storyteller, and he is from the Ottawa Nation. His story is an amazing story, and I urge you to buy his book and to read his story. There are all kinds of people in this story, and it's all real. Even Richard Nixon is in this story. Not that you necessarily want to read about him, but you might want to read this book about it. So be in touch with Pun Plamundan or us to get his book. And meanwhile, we're going to enjoy a story from Michigan, I do believe.
That's correct. That's where we're at. The nice thing about the Great Lakes is they don't put off any humidity here when it's 95 degrees. You don't have to worry about it. When you're surrounded by 25% of the world's fresh water, there's never any humidity. Of course, I'm being facetious. You know, I tell most of the native stories I tell have a moral to them, or have a lesson, or have a great climax at the end. But sometimes the stories are just fun. I was telling stories in a park in Detroit a few years ago, and his mother and daughter came up, and the mother was very polite and said, "Oh, we're so glad you came and shared your stories with us." And I said, "Well, that's a very nice thing to say. Thank you." And I knelt down in front of the little girl, and I said, "How do you like the stories?" And she said, "The stories give me strong ears." And I thought, what a wonderful child's way of talking about the imagination and listening. So this is a story about how the stars got in the sky. Long, long ago, the Creator made the earth. And he made the Anishinaabe, he made the first people. And he made the animals, and he planted all the plants. And the Creator looked at the earth and he smiled because he knew this was good. And then it was the first day of creation. And the humans and the animals populated the earth and walked the earth, and everywhere they looked there was beauty. There was beauty at every corner. And the animals and the humans looked at each other and smiled because they said, yes, this will be good. But then evening came, and the humans and the animals looked into the sky, and the sky was just empty. It was just a void. There was nothing there. And so the humans and the animals talked amongst themselves, and they wondered, Why did the Creator leave the sky so empty and without beauty? Wherever we look, we see beauty. Well, of course, the Creator heard the people and the animals talking. And the Creator looked at the sky and he said, ah, they're right. There is no beauty in the sky. So the very next day, the Creator fashioned himself a great sack. It was a huge, long sack. Never had a sack like this, and never will a sack like this ever be seen on earth. Then the Creator went off into the bush, and he found the longest cedar tree, the tallest cedar tree he could. This great, long, monstrous, tall cedar tree. Never before or since has there been a tree so great. The Creator took that tree and he took that sack and he went off into the swamp, into the muskeg, off into the muskeg. Now in the muskeg there's a wee little flower. It's no bigger than your little fingernail. It's called the morning star flower. And all day the Creator picked those flowers and put them in that sack, one after another. All day he worked. All through the afternoon he worked. And then it was getting evening, the time we're in now. They say that sack was just full. The seams were just stretched. You couldn't get another flower in that sack. Not one more flower would fit in that sack. The Creator took that sack and he took his great long cedar stick and he walked up on the highest hill he could find. But he'd worked all day. The Creator was tired. And he thought to himself, I'll take a little nap before I finish my job. And so the Creator laid down beside that big, great, long sack. Oh, it was never such a sack was seen on earth. The seams were just stretched. They were about to burst. You couldn't get one more flower in that sack. Soon the Creator fell asleep. And it was just at this time that Coyote came walking along. And he saw the Creator up on the hill taking a nap. And beside the Creator, he saw that great long stick. And he saw that great bag. And the seams were just about to burst. And Coyote said to himself, I wonder what the Creator's got in that sack. I bet the Creator's got something good to eat in that sack. Oh, I'm sure he's got something good to eat in that sack. The Coyote started pacing back and forth, thinking, yeah, there's something good in that sack. I know there is. Something good to eat. He said, I'll bet I could take that sack and I'd just eat one bite and then I'd put it back. And the Creator would never know. Oh, Coyote's pacing back and forth. And he's talking himself into doing this. So Coyote crawled up that hill on his belly like dogs do. Real slow, real quiet. Closer and closer he got to that sack. He got close enough to that sack where he could reach out with his mouth. And he grabbed hold of that sack. And ever so slowly, he tugged on that sack. He began to tug that sack away from the Creator. When he got far enough away from the Creator, Coyote reached out with his mouth and he took a good, firm grip of that sack and he started off running down that hill. Faster and faster, Coyote went. Faster and faster, even still, and then faster he went. And as he was running so fast, dragging that sack, Coyote stepped on the sack. Coyote tripped, tumbled, and started tumbling down the hill, and there after him came the sack. And the sack ripped open. And all these beautiful morning star flowers went up into the sky. And they kept going and going and going. Well, very soon the Creator woke up. And what's the first thing you think he saw? Of course, he saw all those morning star flowers scattered across the sky. And the Creator said, "Why, who did this to my sky?" he said. "Who would do such a thing? Who would ever do such a thing?" He said, "I had this long stick, and I had all these morning star flowers. And I was going to put a flower on the end of the stick and place it just so. And then another flower, just so. And another one, just so. And I was going to make beautiful designs in the sky, and there was going to be floral designs, and there was going to be geometric designs, and there was going to be people, and there was going to be animals. All of this was going to be, who did this to my sky?" he said. Well, Coyote came forward. His head was down. He was ashamed of himself, and he felt oh so bad. He came to the Creator, and he said, "I did it." And the Creator kind of turned away because the Creator started to smile and grin, because he knew Coyote was only doing what coyotes do, looking for something good to eat. And the Creator turned back to Coyote and he said, "Well, I was going to make pretty pictures in the sky, but now we'll let the human beings and the animals find the pictures in the sky." And that's our story about how all the stars got in the sky. Before they close me out here, I do want to say how great and gracious and grateful I am that Common Ground is continuing even through this this medical pandemic. It certainly brought my spirits up, and I never do computer work. I've spent more time on a computer since Monday than I've spent in my entire life. I figured it out tonight. I spend about 3.5 hours a day on my butt on this computer. But I'm enjoying it, and I'm loving it, and I love all of you. Miigwech, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pun. That was great. Well, Coyote and the Chaos Theory. Art is where you find it, right? That's a great story. Great story. We're so glad to have you among us. Again, yeah, it's a pretty interesting paradigm, isn't it? We're all connecting through this way. And it's not what we would want, but it's what we have, and we have it. And I love those. If you're watching TV at all, every once in a while, this thing comes on and says, "Call your mother." It says, "Call a friend, text a friend," because obviously what's happening is that people are shutting down, and we can't do that. We can't shut down. We've got to open up. And that's what's happening in the streets, is asking us all to wake up and open up. We're going to have a changed world, and it's going to be a better world. No doubt. No doubt. Our next performers come to us from down in North Carolina, and I'll never forget the first time I met Rodney Sutton. He was dancing with the Greengrass Cloggers, and let me tell you, this was some bunch. They traveled around in an old green school bus. It was a light green, light-colored school bus. And gosh, I guess there were maybe 16 of them. I can't remember how many there were. There are a lot of cloggers. And what the Greengrass Cloggers did was bring the joy of dancing, of individual dancing, self-expressive mountain dancing, back to where it had originated. What had happened with clog dancing is it had become very staid and very precision-like. And people all dressing the same, and great dancers. And you would see them on the Grand Ole Opry and the WLS, et cetera. But the Greengrass Cloggers brought back the essence of dance. And now there are so many disciples of the Greengrass Cloggers. So you're going to get to see Rodney and his wonderful daughter, Kelsey. I haven't seen her dance yet. So this is 2 generations of dancers. Make welcome all the way from North Carolina, Kelsey and Rodney Sutton.
Thank you, Walt. Good evening, everyone.
Hi.
So I want to just put this challenge out there. Something very important happened in 1974, and the Greengrass Cloggers made, I think it was our very first trip outside of North Carolina to perform at a festival at a place in Galloway, Maryland called the Take It Easy Ranch. And there I met this guy that played with a band called Bottle Hill, Mr. Walt Michael. And also on that same day, that same night, I met Eileen Carson Schatz for the first time, 1974. And that meeting changed my life in so many ways. Meeting Walt and all the musical events that we've been to over the years, and finally getting a chance to come to Common Ground on the Hill after 25 years is very special for me and for Kelsey. Most of you know that Friday will mark the anniversary of Eileen's passing, and so this whole little demonstration is, committed, and we're like to Eileen. It's a tribute to her and all that she contributed to percussive dance throughout the years. Mark Schatz became my husband-in-law. Eileen and I were married for 5 years and had a long separation. And then Mark and Eileen got married, and I dubbed him my husband-in-law. And we're the best of friends also. So this is pretty special.
And we'll be dancing to Sally and the Turnip Patch, played by our friends the Moose Whisperers, which are a great old-time band you can check out.
And while Kelsey's getting the music turned on, I'm going to anoint my side of the floor with some cornmeal. A lot of what Kelsey and I do is we have a foot in both the clogging tradition and the flat-footing tradition. And my good old buddy Robert Dotson, who was the source for a step that really changed percussive dance in America. It's called the walking step, and we call it the Robert Dotson walking step. And Robert always left to have a little bit of cornmeal on the floor, and it kind of changes the sounds you can make. So here we go. We're going to dance to Sally and the Turnip Patch. back on. Thank you, guys. We'll have to do it again next year.
Wow.
When we can all be there together.
Yes, sir. We're counting on it. So, Rodney and Kelsey, thank you so much. That was some great dancing. And, you can learn to do that. You can learn it virtually. They're teaching a dance class. It's not too late to stop in on that dance class. So thank you so much. And I sure do remember that festival. Take It Easy Ranch, Callaway, Maryland. I'm telling you what, those were some crazy times. I sure do remember meeting Rodney and encountering the full force of all those dancers. It was just amazing. And Rodney went on to be in the Fiddle Puppets, and he's still dancing, still organizing down there in North Carolina.
Thanks, Walt.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Our next performer comes to us from California, but I believe that he made this recording in the Czech Republic. I do believe. He's from the Czech Republic originally and has been in this country for years. He's an amazing musician who's played with some of the greatest players in the country. He's played a lot with David Grisman and many, many others. He's a phenomenal player. So we'll make welcome Radim Zenkel. Wow. Here we go. Radim, short and sweet. Morning has broken. I don't know if you noticed what he was doing there, but he was flat picking and also had a thumb pick and was playing bass lines. He's just an amazing musician. And he's teaching this week, and he'll be part of next week, which will focus on a number of things, but specifically on mandolins. We're calling it Mandolins on the Hill. So if you know any mandolin players that are stuck inside, we still need some registrants. So let people know. There's going to be Barry Mitterhoff, Wayne Fugate, who just finished touring with Steve Martin, Radim Zenkel, and two wonderful musicians from Russia, and Mark Lincolns as well. I mean, it's an amazing collection of mandolinists and teachers. So let people know. Let people know. We still need enrollments for next week. Our final performer comes to us originally from Maryland. And it wasn't until this past year that I met him. I'd heard a lot about him as being this amazing guitar player. And I knew that he was the he is the son of one of my friends from back in the early days of our bluegrass playing, Sue Tice, a great fiddler who could play that Kenny Baker stuff like nobody's business. So Jordan grew up in a family of players. His dad plays the banjo, and he is one of the great players of his generation. He has a band called Hawktail and a number of other projects. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what Jordan has for us. Jordan, welcome to the stage, and I wonder where are you sheltering these days?
Well, I live in Nashville, Tennessee, but I'm actually visiting my folks down. They moved down to Florida, so I shot straight down here without stopping, and I'm spending some time with them.
Great. Well, I hope you're getting to play with them.
What's that?
I hope you're getting to play some music with them.
Yeah, for sure.
That's great. Yeah. All right. What do you have for us, Jordan?
Oh, I was thinking of doing a John Hartford song. Is that all right?
You know, that's perfect because the course that Tony was going to teach, one of the courses was the music of John Hartford, and he and John Hartford were very good friends.
Oh, cool.
So this is perfect.
Well, awesome. Well, I just got to say, this has been quite fun, and hopefully one day we can all do this in person.
Yeah.
So thank you all, and thanks everybody. All right, here's the Steamboat Whistle Blues. I started out to be a towboat man, but I never got the hang of a ratchet bar. Growing up a decking in the Illinois track with the coal dust in my ear. I got stuck in the ice one Christmas Eve. I froze my ass, it's true. I just shivering and a shaking with a down south case of them steamboat whistle blues. Oh, Captain Way, I'm sorry, my hat goes off to you. You've been hanging out by the old coke stove with the steamboat whistle blues. Called you up, but I couldn't get no one to answer. And smoked a little bit, and I watched the cars roll by. I'm gonna hunt you up and ask you if you found out anything new, or are you hanging to the best you had with the steamboat whistle blues? Oh, I've been right here since 9 o'clock, and believe you me, that's true. Just looking at the water wheel churning with the steamboat whistle blues. City's growing up. It looks so square like a crossword puzzle on the landscape. It looks like an electric Chevy now where the courthouse used to be. And the grass is all synthetic, and we don't know for sure about the food. About the only thing that we know these days is a steamboat whistle blues. Oh, I'd sit and watch my TV if I knew I could trust the news. About the only thing we can trust these days is a steamboat whistle blues. Far out Johnny, I heard him say as he stretched far back on his waterbed. Bluegrass music is a thing of the past, and the same goes for rock and roll. So I moved him $2 or $3, and he gave me the latest news. And he left me here with the Rolling Stone and the steamboat whistle blues. Oh, I'll tear off down the river one day before I'm through, and then I'll come back here and see it out with the steamboat whistle blues.
Jordan, fantastic.
Thank you all. My pleasure.
Thank you so much. Well, that album still really holds up, doesn't it? The Steam Powered Airy playing.
It really does. Almost more than ever now in a lot of ways.
Amazing. For those of you who don't know about that album, it hit around 1972, I think. John Hartford playing with Norman Blake, Vassar Clements, and Tut Taylor. And it's just an amazing concept album, and it really sort of broke open the rules to bluegrass music. A lot of people were influenced by it. So really glad that you chose that song to play. Great to have you here,
Likewise.
I'd like to once again stress to folks to please be sure to go to the websites of these performers and purchase some product. Help put some gas in their cars when it's time for them to get moving again. And also, if you would like to donate to Common Ground on the Hill, we sure could use it. All you have to do is go to our website, commongroundonthehill.org, and there are plenty of donate here buttons there. You can certainly find a way to do it. And of course, these are all tax-deductible donations. So think about supporting everyone as we try to move through this. Tomorrow night is a very special concert. It was actually recorded last week, and it's rebroadcast. You'll feel like it is live, and it is our response to what has been going on in the world around us. The name of the concert is Common Ground Search for Racial Justice Through Song and Story. And it is a combination of the African-American faculty instructor on our, in our community here at Common Ground on the Hill. And the MC is Tim Porter. I strongly urge you to watch this show. I think you'll find it inspiring. There's some wonderful storytelling and some straight talk and some great music. So tune in tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Tell your friends about this. They can watch you in this program. It's going to be archived. So, I don't know how soon that goes up. It goes up probably within the next hour or so. And you can, tell all your friends to come see. In fact, you can watch the show yourself. Thank you all for being part of this. And again, our congratulations to Tony Ellis. Your music rings true. And thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Thank you all very much.
Good night, everybody.
Hey, Walt, can we give a shout out to Rex for keeping the trains running?
Well, of course. Thanks to Rex Riley here, who's doing our technical work. And of course, I mentioned before all the folks who were keeping us on track with registrations, etc. Maria and Matt.
Thank you all.
And Van Hart. Thank you all. Be good or have fun.